Hey everyone, I'm Rachel,
And I'm Jen, and welcome to Devilish Bookworms, the podcast.
where we read and review books and release episodes every Tuesday.
This week we have The Master of Salt and Bone by Keri Lake.
Yay!
Life in the small town of Tempest Cove has not been kind to the 19-year-old Isadora Quinn. With a junkie mom, a tragic past, and a personality that deviates from the norm, she is both targeted and shunned by the locals. When Isa is hired as a companion for the ailing matriarch of the wealthiest and most feared family on the island, she is pulled headfirst into the world of which she never could have imagined. A haunting castle, mysterious deaths, and a handsome but terrifying master. Will Issa be another victim to the Devil of Bonesalt, or will the scars on their bodies and the scars on their souls bring them the one thing they both desperately crave? Just to be understood.
Dun dun dun.
So, Rachel, what did you think of this book?
It was a book that exists in the world.
Bullshit.
No, I liked it. I liked it. It was good. There were definitely bits that I did not like, but there were bits that I liked. I've never read anything from Keri Lake before, but she was fun.
Okay. Okay.
What
So,
did you
what
think of the book?
I love the book. I mean, I thought it was good.
When I first cracked it open and I started reading, I was like, what is this prologue? Like, what is it? I mean, it was a good prologue, but if you don't know what you're going into with the book like this,
Mm.
it's kind of like, what the hell was that?
Okay, I could see that.
But it was not a bad prologue.
I thought it was really disturbing.
I didn't think it was disturbing.
You didn't think the prologue was disturbing?
I will say the thing I will say about the prologue is that there is very clearly a person who is in an asylum, right? There's a
Yeah.
person in an asylum being tortured, and I thought to myself, Jen is my best friend. Okay? Jen knows all the things about me. I've told her all of my things that make me happy. I've told her all the things that make me sad. I've told her that the one thing on this planet that terrifies me more than anything else in the world is doctors in insane asylums. And this hoe decided that what I needed was a book about an insane asylum. And if you've read Master of Salt and Bones, literally the prologue, like we said, is someone in an asylum, and I was like, this bitch.
So listen, he's not in an insane asylum. It's an asylum, but it's a torture asylum.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
feel like
know if
that's
that makes.
semantics. It's the
I was
same
gonna.
thing.
It was in the
It's actually not an
catacombs.
orange. It's a tiny mandarin.
Really?
Son of a bitch.
I'm sorry. I
It's
literally.
actually not a cat. It's a Maine Coon. Get out of my face.
So listen, I completely forgot about the whole like asylum parallel because I was like, oh yeah, they're just in the catacombs torturing him. So no big deal. She can handle that. It's nothing. We've
They
read
were not in
books
the
about
catacombs, by the way.
they were. That's where he brought him.
No, they
Rem-
were not. Not that scene.
oh,
That
not
was
that
the scene
scene.
at Dr.
No.
Friedrich's office.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Okay, so yeah, but they did bring him to the catacombs to get tortured more. I don't think that's better, but I mean, so
So before our audience gets extraordinarily confused, this book it features heavy into sadism. And if you've all heard the term sadistic, but if you don't know what sadism is, it is, quote, the tendency to derive pleasure, especially sexual gratification from inflicting pain, suffering, or humiliation on others. That's not my vibe, but
But
now it has me questioning Jen.
I listen. No, I told you like beforehand. I was like, "This is heavy in sadism, like very sadistic book." Like, oh,
I don't think we did talk about it because I don't generally like look into the books. You just kept saying that you liked it.
Oh,
I don't remember you saying anything about it. I don't need a trigger warning. I'm fine.
oh no, no, no. So if it wasn't you, then I don't know who the hell I said it to.
Not me. Actually, animal abuse and insane asylums are my only triggers.
And there was both in this.
There
I'm
was
sorry.
both in this.
I'm such a horrible friend.
Hate you. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I forgot about the birds.
We can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Can't talk about it. Hey, so question. Okay, so obviously, like the stories about Isa.
Isa.
I kept saying is. No,
Isa.
that's two S's. That's Isa. Isa?
Well,
like
when
Isadora, Isa?
I thought so too, but anytime that I was listening to the audiobook, it was Isa.
Well, I think that grammatically that's not correct. I'm just kidding. No, but so obviously this
is this one of those loose to breath things?
No, because I won't die on this hill like you'll die on the other one.
Yeah, I will.
No, but obviously, like the story is about this girl who, is in this town and she gets hired on to look after this man's mom who's, she's not in the greatest health. She's older. And she has round the clock nurses and she needs company. He wants to make sure that she has people around her. And this he that we're talking about is, a man who owns a castle, the richest family in the world. They're cursed. Can I ask, what does a bitch have to do to live in a town that has a cursed family with a castle? Like, what do I have to do?
I don't know. I'm sorry. If I knew the answer to that, I would have already told you. But
I genuinely feel like one of us is doing something wrong because the common denominator in all of these is the fact that it's on the East Coast, right? Like the East Coast is like it's old historical buildings, it's got the whole spooky forest vibe. There's something just naturally spooky about East Coasters, right? And I feel like between the two of us, you're still there, and yet we have no castle.
it literally fucking says that this is it's based off a fictional town at the coast of fucking Massachusetts. So obviously we're doing something wrong. That's our stomping grounds, and yet no, nothing. Not
she has another book too that's in Maine. And wasn't Gothicana in Maine too?
I can't remember.
We got to move to Maine.
Got to move somewhere near
closer to the coast.
It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. And kind of along that line, I guess, so Tempest Cove, the little island that this all takes place, there was a cute little like not scene set. It was like she was setting the scene. I just said it really weird. But she mentions that the people of Tempest Cove were the kind of people that would be really quick to believe a story about sirens or believe stories about haunted, ships or whatever. Which is how people on the East Coast do.
Literally, the town that she seems to describe, there is a place out in Nantucket that it reminded me of, and I like that's All I kept picturing was that.
You said Nantucket.
Yeah.
Can I say something really quick?
What?
You know my favorite Massachusetts word, or my favorite like East Coast word
What?
is Musquamaket. It's my favorite. Every time anyone talks about Musquamaket, I'm like,
Wow. Okay.
Squamaket.
That's not what I thought you were going to say, but
What do you think I was gonna say?
I didn't fucking know, but not that.
There's so many native words in Massachusetts.
Ugh, Lemonster, Worcester. I love when people try to say Worcester, Worcester.
Is that
No.
that's not native?
Well,
That's British.
it is British, but we have it here too.
Agawam.
Agawam. Yeah,
Agawam.
Agawam.
Musquamaket.
Oh, you're such a dork. I was literally thinking of that little town, like with all the little shops and everything, like the dive bars. Oh, I love dive bars in Mass. They're
I
so
know, me
cool.
too.
Ugh. What did you think about the way that Issa treated her mother every time that she was brought up or saw her?
You know what's weird and what's kind of sad is that because of where we grew up, I feel like it was very believable. I feel like it's sad, especially later on in the book. Um, but tell me that we don't know a million people who had the same relationship with their parents. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
It was very relatable. It was sad, but
Yes. Like every time I sat there and she's like, no, I don't like her. She doesn't deserve my
yeah,
anything. And I was
she
like,
doesn't care about me. Why should I care about her? Look what yeah.
yeah. In 10 years of putting up with her, I was like, ooh, girl, get it. Get it. Say it all. Say it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it is a sad situation to not have the parent that you needed or wanted, and
Yeah.
especially with the fact that her dad was dead.
Mhm. You know what I liked about the story? It was the fact that like the tone was fun. So like Issa is I'm gonna say Issa. I don't think it's Issa. I don't think it should be, but I think that's what we're saying now. Um
Would you like to hear it on the audible,
what do I care about Audible for?
because of the way that the man says it?
So what do I
Well,
care about how the man says it?
I mean, I like the way that he said it, but
You're stupid. um but I like the tone. So like when you're in Issa's point of view, she's like, "Oh, and they're cursed too." Like just so nonchalantly, just like, yeah, oh, this, yep, and they're cursed.
yep. Yeah, honestly, I think the way that Keri wrote it was fun and relatable, but there were those serious moments, and you could feel like the anger or the sadness or whatever it may be in those moments, but she made it relatable to the point where you could enjoy the little back and forth comments that they were having, or the little flirtations with the chef when she first got there, or even
Hmm.
the fear when she was running away from the dog.
Yeah,
So I don't know. I think that she wrote the emotion into it very well.
she did. And you know what I do? I like the fact that she did lighten it up. There were a lot of light parts because the dark was so dark. Like
Yeah.
there's dark romance. I've never read a I haven't yet read a book that's dark romance that just goes that dark. And you know what I thought was kind of fun? So, like, Issa's point of view is present, right? It's always present. We see flashbacks, but it's not written in the past. But Lucian's point of view is both. So, we'll have like Issa's point of view and then Lucian 15 years ago and then Lucian present. And I actually really I didn't think I was going to, but I really like the way she did that. because of the
Mhm.
fact that sometimes it felt as though present day Lucian was 15 years ago Lucian.
Right.
And it was kind of a magnifying glass into how we hold on to our trauma. You know what I mean? Like there's sometimes when you talk to someone who, is holding on to something and you're not talking to them, you're talking to 4-year-old them who was abused, or 4-year-old them who saw something happen, or, and I mean, Issa kind of wears hers right on her sleeve, but hers is like present, you know what I mean? And his, it was like, I feel like we dug real deep with his.
Yeah. He did have a lot more like he had a lot more trauma and everything in his life, but at the same time, like he couldn't escape his
Mm-hmm.
as much as she could. Like I'm not downplaying what she went through, not at all. But with everybody putting the crosses out front of his house, and the scar on his face, and constantly having those moments of playbacks of Solange and his friend, I can't remember his name at the moment.
Jules.
Jude.
Jude.
Jude. Hey, Jude.
I know, how did I
Sorry.
forget that?
I know, right? Um, but with his moments that he was having the flashbacks of Solange and Jude, like it was so constant that he really couldn't escape anything that he was going through. He
Mm-hmm.
was constantly tormented with the reminder of his mother being there and being sick, and the different conversations that she keeps bringing up the past.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I feel like he had it more in his face constantly than she had. Like
Mm-hmm.
she was able to escape some of it, thankfully, but unfortunately, I don't know if that sounded really bad. Like I don't mean that in any terrible way.
I don't think it sounded bad necessarily, but I think because of the fact that his story was more present, or like it was more relevant to the present,
Mhm.
it was like a more immediate thing. Maybe. I don't know.
That's another deep hole to dive down later.
Yeah. So as she's working at this house that has all these secrets and all of these kind of like, you know, creepy people, frankly. Was there a person that gave you the creeps the most? Not your favorite character, but like a character where you were just like, oh, that person's creepy.
It would definitely have to be the mayor, ex-mayor.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name, but
Boyd,
Lucian's,
Patrick Boyd.
yeah, yeah.
He was wicked
This,
creepy.
yeah, the fact that he like tried to use his daughter's death as a way to just touch her, that just nope. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Even if that touch was just a hug, that it like sent so many creep vibes down my spine. It was
Yeah.
ridiculous.
It
But
sucks because like that's one of those things that like I mean people are always putting down beautiful people, right? They're always like, "Oh, everything's so easy for you. Everything's so easy for you." But there's actually a really steep price to pay. You know what I mean? Like Issa has been um basically molested her whole life, and not only her, but Lucian he was, the rich, handsome, heir of everything. And like there are so many instances in the book where he was, objectified, um, molested against his will. Like, and I loved the fact that Keri put it from the male's perspective, because so many people always put it from the female's perspective, understandably, and not in a like a haha, see, you get it, you see how it feels kind of way, but in a see it happens to more than just, the people that you think it happens to, and like I feel like especially when people come forward like um Terry Crews and Brendan Fraser and like all of these people, it's kind of like yeah, like open your eyes to more than just who you think is victims of things like that.
You said it, girl. I'm sorry. That's one of those topics that, like, don't get me wrong, it needs to be a topic, but I have no words for it right now.
Yeah.
So let's talk about age gaps.
Speaking of, um, yeah, I wanted to talk about the age gap because, like, here's the thing. You know that I am all for age gaps. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And like 13 years is not that dramatic.
No,
I just wish she wasn't 19.
I can understand that.
There were a couple times where he mentioned it, like "you're too young for me, you're too young for me," and I get it, I get it, I get it. And there was even another quote that said she was barely 18 and him 56, consenting or not. It's fucking gross. And that's said from the main male character. And I can appreciate that. I appreciate the fact that he also thinks that that's gross. But like, it would have given me significantly less like hesitation if she was at least 20, because like the age gap isn't the issue for me. It's the fact that like she's a teenager, you know. You know.
I can totally understand that because of the fact if that was my child, I would be very not upset, but standoffish.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say a thing. I feel like that's what my dad's going through right now. That poor man knows that there's a 15-year gap, and I don't think he is handling it very well.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know he knew.
Yes.
Oh,
I try not to keep secrets with my dad,
yeah.
but either way, so I understand because she's still in that like adolescent stage, like
Yeah.
she's still talking about boys, not men.
Yeah.
So, yes.
And like I said, I mean, like it was totally clear from the book that it wasn't anything that like it's not like he was grooming her. It wasn't like there was none of that. Like she was very much in control, you know.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, no, no, she was. She was. You have the knife, Issa.
Anyway.
I love how we both like at that same thought.
I feel like that is one of those instances where I could answer what would I do. Um
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it was so funny because like I said, I was totally like here for it, and I am totally here for it, but at the same time I was like, man, she couldn't have been like a year older, like 2 years older. Whatever, I got over it.
Well, see, and I think that's like a lot of the struggle with most authors is like trying to find where that fine line is. Like, is this too ick or is this okay? Because I see it a lot on online where they pose the question to people which is like how young is too young for an age gap, and
Mm-hmm.
like especially like if the male is in his 40s, and like how young can she be without it being gross.
Yeah.
And it's such a fine line because yes, you might be an adult at 18, you might be able to consent at 18, but we all know from experience that an 18-year-old brain is not what a 20-year-old brain is
Mm-hmm.
or what a 25-year-old's brain is.
Right.
So it's such a difficult like position to be put in, like trying to figure out what is acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, I don't know. I can't say age gap bothers me though.
Yeah, it don't bother me at all.
Yeah.
And I will not elaborate.
I already know, so you don't
Because what
have
did you say?
to.
14 years? Yeah.
15. Yeah.
Yeah, still.
Oh, I know. I know.
Anyway.
Oh, anyways, I have to ask this. Did you figure out who was the hallucination and who was not before they actually revealed who was and wasn't, who was real and who wasn't?
Um, I am gonna be honest. I had so many thoughts throughout this book. I had so many thoughts. Like, okay, for the audience, there was so much trauma in this guy's life, right? That there was, and we talked about how there was like a makeshift insane asylum and all this stuff. So there were hallucinations that he had constantly, and it was at some points in the book there was questions on who was real, who wasn't real, what happened, and all this stuff. I'm gonna be honest, I did not know until they revealed who was and who wasn't, because there was a point legit where I was like, what if none of this is real and it's all just in Issa's mind, like she made up the whole thing. Like, I
Let
had
me
no idea.
let me tell you, Keri wrote that so fucking well that I ended up questioning my own sanity. Like, okay, so he said that he was doing this with this person, and he supposedly has pictures, but is it really a picture of this person, or is it
Mm-hmm.
like a figment of his imagination? Is the picture actually real, or what? Like, these were such detailed events that like he had full conversations and full like imaginations of things happening, and some of it didn't even happen. Like there was a person that was brought into it that wasn't even mentioned that was real, and then somebody else that wasn't even real. Like it, bro, my brain like exploded at one point when she was like, oh yeah, this person's real, this person's not real, this person is real, and maybe this one isn't. And I'm like, what? Like,
She literally took the unreliable narrator to a whole different level for me. Like, I was questioning my whole life at one point.
yeah, she really does, especially like when she starts dropping bombs like, "Oh, this is actually what happened." And you're like, "Wait, what?"
It's that
Like
last 100 pages, dude. The last 100 pages gets you every
especially in this book, like it's like your mind is like
time.
constantly reeling during this.
Yeah. And you know what else? You know what else happened a lot? I was anxious a lot, because it's like, so it's kind of like thrill. It's, I think it's classified as a dark romance, but it was thriller for sure. Like, there were
Mm.
so many times things were happening and my whole body was tense. I was up at like 4 a.m. reading, like, I can't stop this now. Like, I got to know what happens. And not in a good way, in a literally, like, I need for my own sanity, I need to make sure that everything's fine.
So now you understand why. Okay, so for you folks, I've already read the book, and I read it again this week, but um when I first read it, I kept having to put the book down because I was like, whoa, my brain is like completely mind fucked right now. I need to put this down. And then I was like, no, I gotta keep going. I was
Mm-hmm.
up till like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning with this book, trying to read it. I'm like, eyes are closing. I'm freaking hitting my head on shit because I'm falling asleep while I'm reading.
Yeah,
And
because it's 4 a.m.
yeah, I gotta be up at 5:30, 6 o'clock the latest, but whatever. We're just gonna keep trying to read. But I mean, even at work, I'm trying to read in between customers, and man, I was so pissed that customers kept coming in one night because I just was so into it, and I'm like, dude, can you just give me 15 minutes to just read this? Because I need to know. And like I actually walked in the back room just to finish reading this one section because it just you couldn't stop. You had to keep reading.
Yeah, that happened a lot.
Yeah. But I will say, do you remember when I first texted you with the whole petite mort?
Yeah, was that from this?
This that was from this. I learned a French word, folks. Petite mort means little death in French, which in other words is orgasm.
Mhm.
Yay. But then when I saw what was her name?
Nenia Kendall.
Yes, Nenia. She has the book that's actually called Petite Mort, and I was so excited. I want to read that. I know you have, but don't give me any information.
It is really good. I would suggest, only because it's my favorite, I would suggest reading Raise the Blood first,
Okay.
because I don't think I can stand another month without you having read that book.
Oh, well, you may have to.
So I am not, like I said, I am not into sadism, and like I don't like exploiting like the poor, the desperate. Um there was so much ick in this book. Not ick in a way that like, you know, come for the book or the author, but ick as in like the characters, you know, like situations that happened. Um and like I don't know, there was so much like taking advantage of people, gaslighting, and like it was so scary, because like that's part of why I have such a hard time with like insane asylums and stuff. It's like your life is not your own. Your life is, you're literally at the mercy of like other people. It's kind of like, have you ever seen those shows? They had an episode on Supernatural about it. There was a movie that came out this year with um Ed Westwick that was about it. But it's like when they have those like dark web series where they like torture people on camera for money, or like, you know, if you want this hand, let me cut it off of the person right here and then send it to you for money, like, you know, parts to the highest bidder or whatever. Like, oh, that's so stomach churning for me, because it's like you have no control over anything. You're literally at everyone else's mercy. And I'm just like, bleh.
Yeah,
It was
very big
rough.
ick. So, did you happen to I'm not even going to say favorite character. Did you have a favorite secondary character? Cuz
You know what's so funny is like when we have, you know, romances or whatever, like if there's specific main characters, like you want to pick the main character, right? So just like you just said to me, like I specifically picked a favorite character that was not one of the main characters.
I'm wondering if we have the same character.
Mine was Rand.
Oh, okay.
I loved
Sassy little
him.
butler.
Yeah, Alfred vibes for sure. Like
Yes.
he was there for decades and he was seeing all of the awful, heinous things that were happening. You know,
Mhm.
like he saw everything, but it didn't like, he didn't like let it change him. You know what I mean? Like he still
Yeah.
was scared during meetings, or he was still like he was never jaded.
Hmm.
And he genuinely cared about people, and like I mean, obviously he didn't see like the worst bits that happened, but I don't know. I just feel like if you work for someone as heinously awful as Lucian's father, I feel like it could have been easy to kind of get used to the monstrosity, but it didn't seem like he did.
Right. No, I could totally dig that. Like I loved his sassy little personality, and I also loved that he was like kind of like the dad figure.
Yeah.
Uh, because I mean, even when he was disappointed in how something happened, you could see the look of disappointment on his face, and it was just like,
Yo.
oh, I if you see that face and you're just like, bro, don't do that, don't make me look at you like that.
No, I get it. I was also disappointed. I was furious, to be honest.
Mm,
When
I
XYZ happened, I was like, you don't betray people.
I know, but she was trying to do
uh,
the right thing. I like
was she?
it was a necessary evil, okay?
Mm.
It was. She was trying to. Never mind. Spoilers. No
Spoilers.
spoilers. But honestly, my favorite was Aunt Midge.
I can dig it.
Dude, let me tell you, like, I freaking loved her. Like, her attitude and is, well, okay, maybe not exactly what I want to be when I grow up, but you know, when she was like, "Are you think she's gonna take pictures of his underwear? His tidy whities are safe with her." And I'm like, "Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. That's something I want to do to my kid. Just like completely embarrass her like that."
Yeah. She was a Massachusetts bartender. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know. I know. I completely understand the attraction of why I was like, "Oh my god, I love her." I think one of the major things of why she was my favorite was it's one of the first chapters when she's driving Issa to the castle and she's trying to convince her not to go. But she's also talking about her mother. She says, when you love someone, it's hard to unlove them. They make mistakes, they do the things you hate, things you don't agree with, things that drive you absolutely mad. When it comes down to it, you still love them. You can't help it. I suppose that's why I really never grasped the concept of hell and the devil. The idea that God or Jesus could turn his back on the ones he loves so much just doesn't make sense to me. Even if you murdered someone, Issa, I might be deeply disappointed, but to stop loving you, that would be impossible.
Hmm.
And that right there, just like it hit so hard because it's like, I 100% agree with that. I could
Mhm.
be completely disappointed in someone, but in my eyes, you can never stop loving someone. Doesn't matter what they do, you're never going to stop loving them.
Yeah.
Well, except for one exception.
I was thinking it, but I wasn't gonna say it.
I love the fact that there was moments, but there's no love lost there.
Hmm.
So, different kind of love. Like you and I, we could get mad at each other. We could be absolutely disappointed with each other with the way something happened or whatnot. But there's nothing in the world that would make me stop loving you. Like we're family, regardless of what happens from now until the end of time. Like,
Yeah. Sisters from different misters, man.
yeah, like try to freaking push me out your life. You're gonna fucking have me just being like, hey, I'm still fucking here.
Surprise. So, would you say that that was your favorite quote?
Um, I would actually probably say no. That is probably not my favorite quote. There was a time that those words terrified me, but I've since grown numb to things like that. Words. As many times as he punished and humiliated me, they can't compare to the pain that has now become a permanent part of me.
Oh,
How about you? If you have a favorite quote?
I do. My favorite quote is my favorite quote is Aunt Midge calls me paranoid for checking locks, the stove, and closing curtains. But growing up half my life in abandoned places taught me not to be so quick to trust my fellow man because sometimes he takes shit without asking.
Facts. Facts.
I loved that quote so much. It was just, it was very Issa, right? But it
Yeah.
was, I love like plays on like concepts, you know? And it was
Yeah.
like, I've never thought of like my fellow man as being one man and like him taking my stuff, but facts.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what else I loved?
Well,
There was a part where she talks about she didn't even just break the fourth wall, she crushed it with a sledgehammer. It says, I'm not following what's filler. It's like in romance novels when the main couple do things together and doesn't really move the plot forward, just kind of fattens the book. I was
oh my
I was
God.
dead.
That is funny. Literally, the way that she wrote everything, it's like it was like set to hit every single nerve that possibly could be hit. Because there was moments where she was like really deep with everything. Like one of my other favorite quotes was when you cut yourself with a blade, there's an open wound and blood and pain. But the pain comes to an end and the wound seals to a scar. So you cut yourself again and again because you forget how much it hurt the first time. The heart is a different animal, a caged, lonely scavenger that feeds on its own wounds. Its scars never heal because you can't mend the very thing it needs to survive. So the wound continues to fester until what's left of the organ is eventually consumed by its own self mutilation. Like, bro, like this, the entire book is like this. And it's just like, it's time and time again where she like sits there and makes you think like this is literally true. Like you sit there even with like little things like hurtful words against yourself, and you sit there and you say you're stupid, you say you're not pretty, you say you're fat, whatever it may be, and you sit there and you keep saying these things to yourself, and you're literally like metaphorically taking the knife to yourself every single fucking time. And it's just like eh, her whole book is like this, and I'm just like, I literally went through an existential crisis just reading some of these things because I'm like, they're so relatable, but at the same time, like you don't want to relate to them, but you do. And
I'm
drives you fucking nuts, but it's so good.
gonna be honest, I thought that was gonna be your favorite quote.
uh it was very tough for it not to be, but the other two, I don't know. They just they hit a little closer to home.
Yeah, I get that. All right. So this book was written by Keri Lake, and she is a USA Today best-selling author of dark romance. Ooh, ooh. Um, I'm assuming she I don't see it anywhere specifically like laid out, but she's gotta live in the East Coast. Like gotta be. I mean, Maine, Massachusetts, gotta be.
So I was
But
thinking the same thing, but then I was trying to like do a deep dive on her and I couldn't find shit.
good girl, Keri Lake. Good girl. So Keri Lake does have a website. It is KERILAKE.com, KeriLake.com. And if you go to her website, she has all of her books. She even has them spread out between like her standalone novels and then like the different collections. There's like the Juniper Unraveling series, the Sandman Duet, the Vigilante series. I want to read the Nightshade duology, and if I can get over my thing with insane asylums, I would love to read Nocticadia.
Ooh, that's the one I want to read
Yo,
next.
it looks so good, but
I
literally,
know.
where does it say? It says haunted by the souls of mental patients. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Talk about worst fears.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'll let you know how it is.
You'll have to because I don't even think like I can get over a building, like I can muscle through like getting over the building itself, but like
Uh-huh.
the ghosts, absolutely not.
I am so
Absolutely not.
excited. Oh, I can't wait.
I barely made it through Blood Mansion talking about Joseph Mengele, like barely. Listen, real quick, I get that that's not like mental patients because it wasn't at all, but it's the evil doctor thing. It's the doc. I can't. Okay. um. So yeah, we'll have to like, I'll have to just check Jen's notes on that book. Um. But you can also there's like contact where you can see all about like you could there's like a form to fill out. You can also join her newsletter, which is on her website. Get notified about pre-sales, book releases, content, stuff like that, win ARCs, all that jazz. All that jazz. But I did follow her. We joined her on her Vigilante Vixens, which is her Facebook group. Very excited. Because I here, listen, you know, I've been kind of spooky my whole life, but I am really loving this whole dark gothic romance thing that I did not know existed. Like Gothicana, Raise the Blood, this one. Like there's a whole Quill and Crow publishing. Like I didn't realize that it was as big of a thing as it is, and I am freaking here for it.
I'm glad that you're here for it because so am I. Well,
Well,
we need to stop. Uh,
Jen, tell the children what we're reading next week.
next week, we are reading The Cackling of the Crows by Neil Sellers.
Yay!
Okay, listen, I'm so happy that you chose this book because this author kind of spoiled us. He
Yeah.
spoiled the shit out of us. Not only did he send us a hard copy of the book, which let me tell you, freaking super excited for, but on the inside of it, he not only signed the book and added a little note to it, but he also had a thank you letter and gave us stickers. So that was really cool.
I
Like
know.
we got our own little book package. It was great.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to talk more about like the book and the packaging and all that stuff when we get to it next week, but man, I'm so excited.
Oh, for sure. Well, all right, everybody. Like, subscribe, follow us on all the things and chat with us and yeah,
Yeah,
do all of that.
do all of it.
And then join us next week for the cackling of the crows.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah. All right. We shall see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.